Yeah, but you know what? When you go into my researches and all that, when you look at what my social scientists have put out there,
Yeah.
sadly, some of them actually a big number. They say we are naturally polygamous, as men and things like that. But we'll delve into that and look at also the biblical perspective.
All right.
So that's what we want to deal with today.
Because ukazonana Solomon ukuthi ma concubines I know one dog say, but then I think the New Testament gives us a new perspective on that, meaning that we can control our urges.
Speaking of Anna Solomon, they took it to another level. I mean, 700 wives and 300 concubines.
Really? Okay.
700 wives. Solomon's 700 club. And we watch a program going 700 club.
Yes, 700 club.
Yeah, there's some that actually say it is Solomon's 700 club. Yet 700. But polygamy it started, well before. I think the first man to start polygamy is Lamech, who was also a murderer, by the way. Right in the book of Genesis.
Oh, is that?
Yes. So he's the first one to do that. Then when you look at men
like Lamech was a polygamist and was a murderer.
Yes, like he did everything. but when you also look at how God intended it, Mwari vakasika Adam and it na Eve. Avanausika Adam, Emma, Esther, na Emily. It was Adam and Eve. So right there, you can actually see God's intention. It's going to be one man, one woman. It's going to be one Adam, one Eve. So an order was actually set.
That was the precedence.
Yes. Like you said, Weekend, we are given free will, but we make the choice. And some will say, well, how come Solomon anakurewa and I do wanna marry? How come David I do wanna marry but anakurewa after having 8 wives and 10 concubines? There are two wills. There's the permissive will of God, and then there is the perfect will of God. So some of those people were actually walking in the permissive will of God. It doesn't mean that God intended it to be like that. So we want to look at it today objectively. When you also look scientifically, you're told, my statistics rather, they tell us they're about 50.4 or so percent. Varume, when you look at the total world population, and vakadzi just 49 point something. So, but we are almost at
well,
par.
That's the other excuse. Kana mwari akati munhu wese saka akaitire vakadzi vakawanda kubvira varume. I'm like, chill guys, man, and I did.
But when you look at those figures, Weekend, it's almost 50-50, Shamari. Two small percentage points. It's almost 50%. Imagine if I decide to become a Solomon, then then shafla ripa na parut recorder over it afutichi taza vake. I mean, no budero man. And no pezerana.
Yes.
No pezera upindra my sisters are and all that. So there has to be some self-control somewhere, and we can't then say it's natural. Because if it's natural, then we're going to have 1,000 each, and then where will you go? Where will that take us to as a people? So the question is, are men naturally polygamous? Let me answer it like this, Weekend. I don't want to say yes or no, but I want to give a balanced response to this.
Let's listen.
I would want to say men have polygamy tendencies, and I would also want to say yes, to some extent we can say it's natural. Okay, and I'll explain what I mean by that.
All right.
Weekend Varume generally we are natural thieves. Stealing is natural to us. This is the story that you get to hear from many people that confess, my thieves vabatwa. That's why they always have a reason that seems a genuine reason. They're justified. So, does that justify you? It doesn't. You have to control yourself. The natural instinct in you is that still that's the default setting for you. Wakundikana, therefore, iba and
the fallen man.
The natural instinct, what I want to show you, and it's a natural instinct. Natural instinct iripo. Likewise, polygamy for me, I would not say it's naturally in us men. And kuita and I have no control over that. So therefore, if the force comes and pushes me, I will just become polygamous. No, it's something that I can control. It's within my control. I can control it. I've got the natural instinct to do that. This is the reason, this is what I always tell even pastors, my fellow pastors. Kuti unoza sapasa unogona now. But you've got to put boundaries in place. You've got to affair-proof your relationship. Knowing kuti nyama inogona kukukanganisa even usingadi. Because nyama yagara yakatodaro. That's why Romans chapter 3 verse 23, the Bible says that for all have sinned and they've fallen short of the glory of God. Kurava kuti munhu wese, you can do zvimwe zvinhu zvitori natural for you to do. Because you are a natural sinner. You were born like that. Uchitobva mudumbu ramai vako, you had something chine chekuita nechivi mauri, a nature inokuita kuti utadza. So that's why there's a need for you to become regenerated. That's why there's a need for you for salvation. You know, that's why your spirit has to be regenerated. That's why you need to become a new man. Because if you want to deal with it, kana for kana aukunde, so you need to then employ a power that is above. That's God. That's the Spirit of God coming in and just helping you become a regenerated person. But otherwise, you'll be right by saying that men are naturally polygamous.
I got a message here saying Abraham 2 wives, Jacob 4 wives, David 4 wives, Solomon 700 wives, Rehoboam 18 wives, Abijah 14, Elkanah 2, Lamech 2, and they all found favor in the eyes of the Lord. And I was just reading the Bible.
Now, my statistics are yes, they found favor, but were they in the perfect will of God, or it was just the permissive will of God? Even now, fast forward, there are many people, we can't mention names, they're doing well. And yet they are also, you know, in that situation, or they are doing certain things like a natural instinct, but you can still prosper in life if you own a hasha. But is that what God wants for you? No. And it's a big no. So why would people have polygamy? By the way, polygamy comes in many different forms, Vikendi. There is what is called polygamy. Then there's also polyandry. Polyandry is when you Vikendi Varume 5 kana 6. I know there's some country where it's illegal, and they do that. And women are getting 5, 6, 7 husbands. And then there's polygamy.
To deal with one is a lot, you know? Yeah.
And you can imagine, Vikendi, because you have to provide emotionally, you have to provide physically, spiritually for the 3 or the 5 wives and the children that also come as a result of that polygamy situation. So it's a lot. It takes a lot to be in a polygamy situation. It's easy, but it's not. It's not. Okay. So coming from me, I wouldn't encourage one to get into that setup because it requires a lot. And besides, for me, I take it as something that is not set as a standard right from the beginning, particularly Adam and Eve. So I wouldn't encourage that to anyone, but I would encourage self-control. Like you did mention, Vikendi Guti, kune free will. God has given us free will. You make your own decisions. But with that privilege, you get a free will choice. You can make your own choices. There's also self-control that comes along as well. You can't have a car chirakanaka say Vikendi ichi manya say, but it's not braking system. Saka, yes, we can speed as much as we want, but we need to have a braking system in place. So that's what we call self-control. If we exercise self-control, I think we'll beat this issue or this societal issue yatukutanezvayonas. Okay?
Anzi, ndo matiri kurarama tiri mo permissible will of God at tonge ne masala.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So let's look at the pitfalls, Vikendi. Why then do women end up time situation we now need to justify our situation we are polygamous? Why do we end up there? Obviously we have lacked self-control, we've succumbed to the pressure, iripo. But I want to give you a few points so that end up in that situation, and this will actually help someone out there. If you're considering I must become polygamous because I'm naturally polygamous, I want you to look at the real causes why you then end up in that situation. Polygamous, naturally polygamous, is just an excuse. Okay, number one, why do we cheat? Why do men cheat? Why do they cheat? Number one, Vikendi, the world has become one big supermarket. Supermarket is hombe. Imagine you take your son to a supermarket, a big supermarket, matodlas anozviziva kuti mwana anokushutira emaskitsimo anoti amafirimu achimhanya akabata ichi obata ichi omboti iwa handina mari kanhai zvinhu zvozvo izvi zviri kukumba. They will do all manner of things because they are so confused, because hey, they are overwhelmed by the number of products that they are seeing. zvakazara musupermarket. And that's exactly the problem that a lot of us as men are facing now. We find ourselves in a big supermarket. There's just a lot of choices. You know, I tell my guys, vanofamba na vandomenta kuti guys, mazano kuzvarombama. If you don't have self-control,
Yes.
I'm telling you for. Because vasikana vari kuvakanaka, hatisi kuramba. Vasikana vari kupfeka, hatisi kuramba. That's reality. That's why you need to have self-control. Because it's like you're in this big supermarket. You can get anything that you want. You can get a girlfriend kuna another country or another continent. It's now possible because the world has not only become a global village, it has become a global supermarket according to how I see it. So if you are in a supermarket, wakutonyatsoona kuti chandafambira ini kutenga chingwa. Because kune zvinhu zviri packaged musupermarket memaweekend zvokuti zvechitodedzera screaming kuti please take me. And if you don't exercise self-control, you end up getting a lot of things into your shopping trolley, into your shopping basket, zvausina kuplana for, things that are not on your budget. So men, be very clear. Be very clear. Know what you are here for, know what you are on the earth for, and just stick to that. Don't let any side shows sway you. Ziva kuti inini ndauya kubasa ndayoshandira mhuri yangu. Pakazi yabo munhu arikuda kukuita sway, arikuda kukutora kana kuti arikuda kukuita sei, ari kusetera pena, ramba kutamba. Haumanikidzwe weekend kutamba bhora rausiku rwadi kutamba.
Yes, true.
Sabanguru vaya mamutaura makufeni vaya.
Yeah. Hanza achikarambire karefa tipapena.
Banguru kana makateerera hamumanikidzwe kutamba against team amusindotamba nayo. Budai muground imomo. Budai, just walk out. Okay, so that's exactly what is happening now. People end up vakutenga zvavasingadi because they are confused. There's just a lot of products on the market. They're in this big supermarket. So please, men, exercise self-control. Number 2, we end up in a situation in affairs, extramarital affairs, because we are failing to deal with midlife crisis. Midlife crisis, guys, is the reality.
It's real.
It's real. Sit down with your men and understand how much changes that they're going through. Okay. Same as menopause, there are also changes that women go through, and I also want men to appreciate that. That's why we are building emotionally intelligent couples. You should be able to tell your wife is going through A, B, C, D at this particular stage. And likewise, as women, we must also be able to understand what men go through in their midlife crisis, in their midlife years.
Ndichitori relevant pamarket ndokwanisa kutoona handina ina ndikuchembera inini.
Weekend ingonditi sekuru mdara azvibude. Ingonditi sekuru vanenge azvibude. I also want to be appreciated. I also want to be admired. That's what men go through when they are in midlife crisis. They also want to be admired. Because mimi madzimai mufa ndimoda chito kuadmire. Unesototodawo kana yatopfekawo boss unofa undozati isha nasi you looking dope, you looking nice. It's okay. I want to hear such words because that's the reason why you see them then going and they are dating vanavadiki because they want to awaken that young boy arimavari, that simbilimba arimavari. Avadungonzi sekuru vanhingi kana chi, it's simba for you. So they want that.
Kana waenda ikoko kwamaini wakunzi Simba,
audzokere kumba.
Simba, where are you, sweetie? Baba wakuru. Aya, kumba wachidonzi baningi.
Sekuru vaningi.
Munhu mukuru.
Munhu mukuru ante zvakadaro. Varima vadi kunyatso hatidi kunzi tanyanya kukurisa, hatidi kukurawo. We still want to be young. We may be young, old kunzo, but you know what? We also want to be playful with our people, with our wives, that is. The number 3, weekend, seeking greener pastures. Ndo zvimwe zvechitsvagwa nevarume vakangoona zvimwe unoziva zvinhu si zvako zvezvakakunakira, but you don't understand what it took for that person arikoko in terms of nurturing that garden, for that person to look the way they are looking. It took in a lot of resources, a lot of effort. Iye wacho aruchemera, pano mumwe asitotombomudawo akatomusiya. So the grass is not always greener. Ukaritarisa sonofa kuti kuri ball, but ukaenda ipapo zvichida pane masvosve, wogara ipapo wotanga kurumwa nemasvosve aya and kana kubayiwa neminzwa inenge iri ipapo. So you mustn't do that. You'd rather water your own garden, you'd rather nurture your own garden, because marriage is not a restaurant, it is a garden. There's a big difference. When you're in a restaurant, you just wait kuti usave way, unongomira wait achikuitira zvinhu, but when you're in a garden you have to work on it. The garden to produce the fruits or whatever produce you're looking for. Number 4, curiosity. curiosity. This is what has killed a lot of people. It has killed a lot of destinies. That's why they say curiosity killed a cat. Yakauraya kiti. You also kitty, please don't die of it. And it, because in a man's mind, they're always thinking, kumborinei koko. Kumborinei. And they want to have the best of all the worlds, so to speak. Mtete, mtema, muchuku, akati simbei, all those things. They are just trying to find out kumborinei kuseri koko. So this is one thing that is actually leading a lot of people into nyaya yema affairs, and then they will then justify that and say, I'm naturally polygamous. You are not. You have just succumbed to curiosity. Please exercise self-control. Number 5, just proving your manhood. There are people that do that because they want to prove. And pamwe pacho weekend, unfortunately, no push off name tupo yedu. Asita kumenshina mitupo anditi. But
anani ngrini.
Kuti radundu kuti susu. Inini anondizera musikana ndomutora ndikada kumutora because isitrana ningati furwe nezvinhu. And say boys set kurudzirana and all that. Come on guys, let's not stoop that low. Then there is also peer pressure. Your peer pressure is where men are daring each other. Let's see who's going to be the first to get that chick. Men do stupid things out there. And please, let's desist from that. Peer pressure, I mean, you are 40 years, you are 50 years. You can't then blame it on peer pressure. Please grow up. Because pazvinozovhondoka, pazvinozoshata, unenge uri wega, uri kumba kwako namadhamu vako, boys dzinedzaenda. Zesipo. Zvichakontinua dziri kumabhonzo dziri dzega. Iwo wawane makefis kumba. Then number 7, weekend wamboitaura iyoyi. Statement yauraya varume vazhinji inotita mislead. Statement yekuti semunhu wemurume. That statement, come on. Semunhu wemurume ndaigodini. Semunhu wemurume ndakazoti nditi because I was missing out on this, because I was not being given my needs angu. Semunhu wemurume ndakazodai. Semunhu wemurume ndakazodai. And then there's opportunities, weekend. Many people cheat simply because opportunities have availed themselves to them. Run away from opportunities. Unyatsozada papa high accident zone. Urukumire utsvage ipapa pamiwe panochowa vanhu ipapa. Tiza.
Oh, Pastor Sim, I wish we had more time.
Sure.
Thank you so much. For those who want to reach you, your contact details.
Okay, before that, the last point, weekend, in just 15 seconds. Men believe that they won't be caught. But let me tell you one thing. There are 3 people in a marriage. God, Mwako. Mwako asakubata, Mwaraja kubata, and he's going to unveil you. 0773 000 000. 0773 000 000. Please add me your name and your marital status, then I can add you to a relevant broadcast list. If you're married, I send a message on Mondays. If you're single, I send on Saturdays. Otherwise, thank you. Have a great weekend.
Much appreciated. We're also live on Facebook. You can go watch this and share it with someone. Remember, tomorrow belongs to God. I am V Candy. 12 midday, time for Now in Daba.